I am absolutely sickened by what I just saw. I just spent 2.5 hours watching the exact same movie I watched last night with the same, essentially the same score line as well. I am absolutely sickened right now. The Toronto Maple Leafs lose the second half, both games of a back-to-back to the Carolina Hurricanes in the Hall of Fame game, 5-4. And ladies and gentlemen, this team, this Toronto Maple Leafs team right now, can't play defense. They can't play defense, which is massively concerning considering the fact that it's the same defense core. It's the exact same defense core. They're losing leads. This team doesn't look the same as last year. It doesn't. They were securing leads. They were winning tight games last year. People were upset about that even. This doesn't look like last year. This team can't defend the forwards. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for tuning in as well. And it was a good game. It was honestly a good, exciting game. I even thought last night against the Bruins was an exciting game. At the end of the day, it was still an exciting game. But the Leafs should have came. You were up 4-2. You have to win that game. You have to win that game, and they ultimately lose. You can't point fingers at your goaltender tonight because Hildeby was actually very good. He made over 40 saves, I believe. I could check that, and I do have the stats up here. But he made a lot of saves on the night. He did make over 40 saves tonight. He made over 40 saves, 41 saves. You can't blame the goaltender. Maybe you want a goal or two back. You need Tanev back. That's for sure from Ski. And hey, Joshua, how are you doing tonight? Nice to see some familiar faces in the chat again. But this team, and Berube talked about it last night. He had a quote last night about how he didn't love the defense, right? And I'm like, that's a concerning quote. I talked about it in our video this morning. If you didn't check that out after this live stream. But he was talking about how he didn't love the defense. And I was talking this morning with Nick about how that's incredibly concerning because it's the same defense core. I know you're missing Chris Tanev right now, but Phil Myers was here last year, right? Like Benoit's in the lineup. Like the rest of the guys were here last year. There's nobody new in the lineup, right? So what's the problem? They gave the Hurricanes so much time and space on almost all of their goals. They allowed them to have it. They gave it to them. The Hurricanes didn't have to earn any space. And if you watch the Leafs, even when they've been winning, there are certain points in a game and certain periods like the second period right now where they allow other teams to take all the space they want and other teams suffocate the Leafs. The other thing I wanted to talk about in terms of the defense, holy mac, they, first of all, can't play defense right now. They seem scrambly. They can't break the puck out. What is going on? This team cannot break the puck out at all. And a little bit rides on the forwards as well because a couple guys are too high. But the defense has got to get it out. How many times tonight can you just smack it off the wall and get it out? And they didn't. They didn't. And it cost them a goal. I think 3 times tonight that happened. I'm very interested to see what Berube says in his post-game press conference because holy smokes. There is a lot to dislike about it tonight. We'll get to some comments here in the chat in a second. But holy smokes, there is a lot to dislike with the defense right now. They can't break the puck out. They don't look poised whatsoever. And the most upsetting, frustrating part of all that, as I hit the wrong button, is that this group of players tonight, I know they're missing Tanev. This group of players is the same. They were all here last year. Same system. Same coach. Everything's the same. Everything. You're missing one player and you gained a better bottom 6, I think, through the summer. What's the issue? What is the issue still with this team? We'll get to some of the chat here. John saying not to tip your hat to the Leafs. Anyway, Mike, thank you for stopping in. And that was a good game. Healthy scratch Riley or Carlo and bring in some Marley, Stewie. That's what he's saying. Now, not a bad idea at this point. The Leafs have never really experimented with that type of stuff. And look at Jordan Kyrou in St. Louis was scratched. He responded very well. He scored. They still lost, but he responded well, right? And I think it was a message to the rest of the team to say, anybody can get it. Anybody's going to get scratched, right? Maybe you start sending that message. I think that could be interesting. Healthy scratch Riley and Carlo. That was from Stewie. With Tanev, their defense is bad without him, is only bad with him, without him it's horrendous. Chris Tanev is their best defender. He is an underrated puck mover. He's unbelievable Unbelievable. Joshua is saying that the Leafs need to make a change in the forward group and blue line. Olivia is saying, so disappointed. It was a disappointing result. Second night in a row. I'm disappointed as well. That's disappointing to not come away with a win in both of those games. I feel like both games were definitely in reach. Not only was tonight in reach to win, you were winning. You were up by 2 goals. How do you lose that game? In regulation, they just forfeited 4 points this weekend. They just threw them away into the wind. Just threw them away. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Matthews looking like the best defense we have. Matthews has been fine this year. Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, Robertson's looked okay. I mean, tonight he didn't look as effective. They've all looked good. They've all looked fine. And they're putting up points. We want a little bit more out of them defensively, I think. All of them, everyone. But the defense, at the end of the day, you got to get the puck out. But the other team, I think the forwards need to do a better job of running interference as well. Like, I just feel like the Leafs are allowing other teams to take their space, giving them whatever space they want, and other teams suffocate the Leafs. It's not a back and forth whatsoever. It's one team is making it hard on the other, and the other team's allowing the other team to do whatever they want. Carolina also hit 3 posts in the second period tonight. Was it the second period? I think it was the second period. 3 posts. This could have been a lot uglier. I think the Leafs actually, the scoreline looks a lot better than what it could have looked like. Just horrendous. Horrendous. Dale saying that they need a puck mover so bad. They need Chris Tanev back. He can move the puck. But even McCabe has been a good puck mover. But like some of the decisions tonight, what are we doing? It leaves you saying, like, what are we doing here? What else we got? No one can blame Matthews, Nylander, or Tavares. That's from Dodgers Digest, who is lingering around. The Dodgers lingering around Toronto for the last week. Still here in the chat. Appreciate you, Dodgers. Carlo is brutal. Brad's moves have been so spotty. I think Carlo's been a tough one. Outside of that, I have not disliked any move Brad Treliving has made. Honestly, I don't know if there's a move that he's made where I said that's a bad one. So, except for Carlo. Carlo, I hate to say it. There's certain defensemen, especially defensemen. I actually think Keandre Miller on the Carolina Hurricanes is a great example of this too. And I think Carlo is. And I'll get to it in a second because Robert comes in with the $10 donation. First one of the night. Thank you, Robert. And first of all, appreciate that. Second of all, remember you from last year. You've been a long-time viewer and contributor to the channel. So thank you very much, Robert. I'll get to your question right away, and I'll get back up to the top in a second. But could it be Lalonde with the same defense, maybe trying to play different, a different one of the best defense last year? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. He came in, he didn't have great statistics, but then you look at the team he was coaching, and you're like, all right, you know, they didn't put together a good season. Was it just the coach? You look at Detroit now, they're putting together a good season. It's interesting. It's interesting. Maybe it is Lalonde. I didn't mind the Lalonde hire at the time because he's won a Stanley Cup. You would think if you've won a Stanley Cup, especially in the last, when was the last time you won a Stanley Cup? 4 years ago? You would think you kind of know what's going on with the current game, right? Like if you hired somebody that has won a Stanley Cup in 2003, I would be concerned, right? Or 2004. Then I'd be like, all right, interesting. Has, you know, Stanley Cup pedigree, I guess, but the game has changed. No, he won a cup with Tampa Bay a couple of years ago. So I was thinking like that's a good hire. So it's interesting, Robert. I don't know. I've thought about that too. I mean, we talked about the power play sucking at nauseum. Is it Mark Savard's fault? I don't know. The power play sucked before he got here and they have $50 million on the power play. So is it Mark Savard? I don't know, right? So it's an interesting question. But Robert, I appreciate your donation. You've been around for a long time and we appreciate you tuning in. But something is up in the locker room. That's what John's saying. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's super sloppy. They just don't seem mentally sharp right now, which is, in theory, you can clean that up. I was going to get back to my point because Ski brought it up about Carlo. There's certain players in the league that have high hockey IQ, right? And the Leafs have a lot of them on the team, especially the guys that make the most money. High hockey IQ. They understand how the game works. Carlo doesn't strike me as that type. He has tools. He has a long reach. He's a big body. He can play physically. I don't know if he has the best hockey IQ. That's the best way I can articulate it to you guys. I don't know if he's a smart hockey player. He makes some really awful choices and decisions because I just don't know if he's one of those guys that like understand. Of course, everyone who makes the NHL understands the game, But I just don't think he's as smart of a hockey player as some other people. Like, he makes some puzzling decisions, but he has the tools that you want. Big, physical, the reach, length, all of that stuff. So that's that. And that does come in handy, especially in the playoffs. But I feel like Keandre Miller's another guy. Like, there's a couple defensemen and even players in the league where you're like, they got tools and they can do these things and, you know, score some goals for you. I just don't know if they're like the smartest hockey player. That's the best way I could describe it, but that's just what I see. Need to trade Riley. People are saying trading Riley. Riley's really getting it this year, especially last year as well. This team has no depth, no fight back. That's from Don. I mean, I don't know about that. I liked last night's response from Bobby McMahon, but they're making it easy. They're giving it to the other team. They are giving it to the other team. Don saying bring back Kampf. We're going to find out what's happening with Kampf tomorrow, and I think it's going to be a contract termination. Berube is not the problem, but he won't last the season. Interesting. I don't think that they're going to fire him. I don't think the Leafs are in love with MLSE, I should say, is in love with firing coaches now well beyond their contracts expiring. So I don't think he's going anywhere, and I don't think he's the problem either. I don't think certain guys are executing what he's asking. So, and I think, and here's the kicker. What he's asking is the most simple brand of hockey possible. That's what he's asking. And some guys are not delivering. It blows my mind sometimes. It really does. Like, he talks in these post-game press conferences, Berube this is, and he's like, hey, I'm asking the guys to just skate really hard and fight for one another. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I mean, that seems reasonable, right? And they're just not doing that. So, waiting here. John Tavares, after tonight's loss, I want to read some quotes to you guys. I'll get back to the chat in a second. Our game, for whatever reason, becomes really immature and you don't manage the game very well. We gain some traction and then we shoot ourselves in the foot again. I know, we can all see that. We can see that. You're not managing the game properly. The whole team, especially the defense. Not good. John saying, time to get a new GM. For everyone that's saying, like, something's in the room, what's in the room then? What is the problem? Because I don't know if that's true. And a lot of guys who've come out of Toronto, like, and gone to other teams, say that the group is very close. And anytime you hear that around the league, like, you know what I mean? Like, we just heard that with the Jays as well. Like, I don't know if it's necessarily true, obviously, but like, you don't know unless you're in the room. But I don't think it's something in the room. I just think they don't manage the game properly, and nobody really steps up to the plate to take control of the team in moments like that and say, hey, let's get on our horse now. I don't see that stuff. That's what I don't see. But that's in-game management. They got to get better at that stuff. That's interesting though. Need a drastic trade to send a message. Maybe a scratching. Here's the thing with, like, scratching somebody. Who do you scratch? Let me know in the chat now, right? I think it could be an interesting idea, but who do you scratch? Nylander is scoring every game. Matthews scoring, right? He's offering some offense. He's the captain. You're going to scratch the captain of the team if he's healthy. John Tavares is providing a lot of offense. Does scratching Nick Robertson send a message? No, you did that half the season last year. Scratching Bobby McMahon send a message? No. Could you scratch Matthew Nyes? Maybe. Could you scratch one of the defensemen, one of your top defensemen? Maybe. I could see them scratching Morgan Riley. That would send a message. I think that would send a message. But those top guys, like, who are you going to scratch? Not Nylander. He's scoring goals for you, right? So it's tough. I don't even think he's necessarily playing bad. Everyone gives him a bad rep. Yes, he could lock in a little bit more defensively, I think. But I don't think he's playing that bad. I don't. And he is what he is. He's going to offer you goals. That's why you pay him the $11 million. He's going to score you a bunch of goals. He might score over 50 this year. He's unbelievable. John saying, yeah, I'm not necessarily in love, John, with the whole Austin Matthews looking up to Joe Thornton thing, because Joe Thornton, I love the fact that Joe Thornton loves the game so much. I think that's really cool, and the fact that he's out there with a smile all the time. But this guy never won the Stanley Cup. I know he went to a Stanley Cup final, Olympic gold, stuff like that. I get it. But there's certain things like the Amazon documentary from 2021. That guy's supposed to be a leader, and he's telling everyone, don't worry about it. And then when it came time to worry about it, nobody knew what was going on, and they lost the series. I don't like that type of stuff. I would agree with you there in terms of that stuff, but I think Joe Thornton is a phenomenal hockey player, for sure, and definitely worthy of the Hall of Fame. Scratch Domi, that could be interesting too. He's on the fourth line. Wah, maybe scratch. I think Riley's the answer here. Robert with another $5 donation. Get the animation going for you here. Captain Matthews. Although he was not there, nice to see McGillney in the Hall of Fame finally. And how about that stash on Lanny? Still the GOAT of stashes. First of all, well overdue for, honestly, maybe, this might be crazy, one of the best Leafs of all time, at least for the time that they had him. Maybe if you want to do a subsection of like small sample size Leafs, Alex McGillney, unbelievable in the early 2000s. So, for the Leafs, but even the stuff he did before in Buffalo, scoring 76 goals and stuff like that in 1993. So, yeah, he like well overdue, well deserved. Nice to see him finally in the Hall of Fame. And Lanny McDonald's awesome with the stash, man. That guy is a Leafs legend and an NHL legend, or just a hockey legend, Hockey Hall of Fame. But Jay saying no one's playing harder than Robertson. You can see it in the corners, man. He's playing physical. I think he's playing like a 200-foot game right now. Last night it was super noticeable, getting sticks and lanes, back checking, stuff like that. He's playing really hard. He's playing really hard, and he's trying to earn his minutes. And he's far from the problem right now. Very far from the problem. I do also wonder, I want to bring this up. I was looking at this. If everyone can take a look at this. I wonder if like some of the guys are gassed. They're relying on a lot of these guys like Matthews to play on the penalty kill. And there's so many players around the league that do this. So, I mean, whatever. But, you know, Matthews playing in all situations, Nylander playing, you know, a ton of minutes, right? Like a lot of these guys, if you look at, you know, the breakdown here, you have a couple guys that like Sammy Blais played 7 minutes tonight. Like they're not, and I know there's a lot of time on special teams tonight, but you have a lot of guys like that top line, like William Nylander and Matthews playing like 22 minutes a night tonight. Last night, it was like almost 25 minutes a night. And then you have guys that you could be using more of, like Joshua, 12 minutes, right? Like maybe bump them up a little bit, like maybe manage your bench a little bit better, especially earlier in the game. I know you want to get into the game and get some goals and try to lead, but when it comes down to it, are these guys gassed, right? Okay, they played the whole game. Now you're relying upon them to play another like 2 minutes, get something going in the final minute. Like to me, when they're 6-on-5, sometimes they always look gassed. I don't know what it is. And I know you're a professional athlete, but maybe manage the bench a little bit better. I was just looking at some of the times, and it's not necessarily tonight, but even, you know, last night specifically, I noticed a lot of guys like Matthews, Nylander were up around the 25-minute mark, I think it was, or 24-minute mark. So, which is fine. Like if it's a playoff game, like that makes sense. Of course, the intensity, you want your best players on the ice, but a game like this, maybe manage the bench a little bit better, a little bit tighter. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the answer is. And I don't get paid to figure that out. That's Craig Berube's job. So, but I did notice that. Maybe bump a couple of other guys up. Like, can Tavares play more? You know what I mean? Like, can Tavares play 20 minutes, 21 minutes? Maybe. I don't know. I think it's interesting. But let me know any final thoughts there in the comments. If you were to send a message, if you did want to scratch somebody, who would it be? My guess right now, I think the only one you could actually with reason is Morgan Riley at this point in time. I think that'll be interesting. Do I have a point there with some of the, you know, managing the minutes, some of the bench management there? I think that could be interesting to take a look at. But ultimately, I think the Leafs have just thrown 4 points into the wind this weekend. Like you could have at least picked up 2 here tonight. And even last night, the rough start to the game, could have picked up 2 points this weekend. I think and you threw 4 just out the window. I'm looking for some quotes here. Before we wrap up here, I do want to bring this up. And this is very interesting. And Robert, I believe you brought this up earlier as well. Adam Wilde of the SDPN just said how the Leafs went from studs on defense last season under Lane Lambert, who is leading a pretty good Seattle Kraken team right now, to whatever system Derek Lalonde has them playing is absolutely bewildering. They brought every single defenseman back, and they all look like they forgot how to play. It's a systems issue, period. I don't know if that's true. I mean, there's got to be something to it, and they got to get used to a new system because it's a new defensive coach. Sure, there's a little bit of that, but we're well over a month into the season now at this point, and these guys can't break the puck out. Is breaking the puck out and making a outlet pass a systems thing? Like, you can't do that? You don't know when the right time to do that is? Are the forwards not in the right positions? I don't know. It's very interesting. But now a lot of people are calling for Derek Lalonde to be fired. I mean, it's just not going to happen. But it's interesting. But yeah, Tavares was very blunt with his post-game comments as well tonight, which I do appreciate. But yeah, Dodgers saying we could have been first in the Atlantic. First in the Atlantic. That's right. Could have been. It's a tight conference, honestly. So I think we'll wrap it up there. Nylander always taking it easy on defense, -2 tonight. Yeah, a couple of his points also came, special team stuff like that. But, that line sometimes gets caught out, which is unfortunate. But John saying, love following you, but Bradshaw Living needs to go along with Riley and Domi. Those 3 moves for a first-round pick or second-round draft picks. Well, nobody's going to do that, unfortunately, John. Nobody's taking those guys for second or first-round draft picks. It just doesn't exist. I mean, this team couldn't even trade David Kampf because there's no market for him, and he's an NHL player. Like, if he terminates his contract, he will be in the NHL somewhere else. So, I honestly think Bradshaw Living's fine. Maybe it's just the team. Like, on paper, I think this team is fine and can win in the playoffs. And sometimes if you take a step back in the regular season for playoff success, I would rather that. But we'll see. Yeah, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. But Dodgers, I totally agree. But I don't know. The thing with Bradshaw Living's pretty interesting. We'll continue to have that conversation here on the channel. That is for sure. But Riley, that's an interesting one. No movement clause now at this point. We talked about that through the summer. I was talking in the summer. I mean, I love Max Domi. I think he comes up big in some of the big moments. Like he scored in Game 7, scored in a couple playoff games as well. Puts up a couple, points in the playoffs. Big points and big moments, but does he have a spot on this team? He's playing, he makes almost $4 million and he's playing on the 4th line right now, which is depth. That is good. I think that's a good thing. But at the same time, do you need another piece there in the top 6? And would you have to move out money? That's something to consider. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't do it, but we'll have to see how the rest of the season goes. I think they're playing a little bit better right now. Like if you watch the games versus now versus in October, there was no urgency at all in October. There's a little bit more urgency, but the defensive structure just looks, or the structure, the buy into playing defense, not being able to make an outlet pass, all of these things, it's just not good. It's just not good. But we'll see what happens here down the road. Let me know how you feel in the chat, in the comments. We'll see you guys for another video tomorrow. Leafs lose 5-4 to the Carolina Hurricanes. But keep you up to date with everything going on with the Leafs on the channel. We'll see you all for a video tomorrow. We'll be live, throughout the season now, either post-game, some watch-alongs. There might be a watch-along on Thursday against the LA Kings. They also play on Tuesday in Boston, so stay tuned for that one as well. And then next Saturday in Chicago. So it's still a pretty busy week for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But I'll see you guys all tomorrow for another video. I'm sure Berube is going to have some interesting things to say, so we'll definitely have you guys covered there. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you are new here and want to stay up to date with everything going on with the Leafs, even if you don't like the Leafs, because guys, we see you guys in the comments all the time. We know you're hovering around. You might as well stick around and watch the video since you love to stay up to date with the Leafs, whether you hate them or not. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Love to see some familiar faces in the chat. Thank you to everyone who donated. Robert, multiple times. Appreciate you, of course. And we will see you guys for a video tomorrow.
Digest your daily dose of gold. Stories of the bold where legends untold. From first pop drop to the season's fall. Tune in and watch the drama unfold.